Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a podcast focused on benefit auctions and fundraising events for the nonprofit community. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes. Here it is, episode number 23. We're doing a podcast. My name's Sheldon
Stokes. Doing a podcast.
Kelly Schenfeld.
Polly Schenfeld.
That's right, and we're here to rock and roll and talk about some timelines. What we're going to be covering today. We're going to be talking about what you can do to get your organization set up and in the right spot to succeed when the event comes around. We have a list that we're referencing. It's from one of our packets from years ago, but a lot of these different line items really apply to many organizations. And part of the reason we are covering this topic is because the fall is upon us, folks.
Yes, so we have to shake off all the summer activity that we've been doing, shake off all the beers that we've been drinking, the sunscreen we've been using, all of the hats that we've been wearing that have brimmed our eyes from the sun, and start moving towards the fall season.
Towards the mission. I like that, Kel.
The mission.
Right towards the mission.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's like a tagline or something.
Yeah, we're moving towards the mission.
Oh, man, when are you going to be running for office?
Paving our way right now. Hoping nobody has to, check my house for files.
I like what you did there.
Speaking of paving, there is some paving going on behind us. So if you hear a little beep, beep, squeak, squeak, moving of gravel, that's what's going on. We're having some improvements done, which is exciting times.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to look so awesome.
Kelly can't wait to ride her bike in the driveway.
Yeah.
Anyway. On the brand new asphalt in the driveway.
The grandchildren are very lucky grandchildren.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving towards getting ready for your fall events.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, there in these packets, there's different timelines. There's the, what do you do a year out? What do you do 6 months out? What do you do 3 months out? We're all kind of a little rusty since the pandemic, so we're not really scheduled like we used to be. And I think that we see that in every aspect of our life. We used to be very prepared. You go into the summer, and then you do your summer, and then you're still doing all the stuff you need to do to get to the fall. This is just going to be kind of that little bit of a reminder of if you haven't done the year and the 6 month thing, you better get on it. Falls on us.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of the reason is that we're talking to people, and there's a lot of new individuals in nonprofit event planning seats that are just coming on and trying to get their legs under them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to knock out the first part of our list. It's designated as 1 year and 10 months out in this packet, but in reality, there's a lot of people trying to throw together events in like 90 days. Yeah. You know what I mean? 3 months at times. Yeah.
And let me just tell you, it is difficult to get a hold of a caterer like 8 weeks out. So don't do that. Anyway, so I'd throw that in there.
So we're going to go through the 1 year out. First and foremost, I'll take the first one. It's select an auction chairperson. So more often than not, these organizations will choose a chairperson to kind of head up and be the figurehead of the event. They're essentially going to lead the committee, and they're going to be a main contact with your vendors. Stokes Auction Group included. If you choose to partner with us, we are normally in contact with that chairperson, or essentially the person that knows what's going on with everything, right?
Also make that chairperson that you're choosing somebody that is in tight with the community of givers, because that chairperson is typically the person that will go and ask for the donations. So, your chair people have... you really want them to have some meat in the community, not just a friendly face. You want them to be able to have the ability to go to somebody and say, gosh darn it, Bill, it's been a couple years since we've had a show, and we're going to need you this year. Can we count on you for $10,000? So typically your chairs, and correct me, boys, at any point that I'm incorrect, which is very possible.
Never happened.
Typically your chair is going to be that strong money connect to your community as well.
I would say money connect and also relationship connect. Yeah. Because, the next line item we have here, and Paul, if you want to hop in on this, essentially what this head committee person is doing is selecting the co-chairs of the underlying groups, right?
Yeah, a steering committee. Yeah. Now would be a good time to, designate, get 6 or 8 of, people of like mind, because you're going to need, a chairperson for the silent auction. You're going to need a chairperson for the live auction. Probably get a decorations chair.
And we're talking about for this fall, right?
Yeah, or just in general, right? I mean, if you're going into planning any event, it starts with having that one figurehead and then delegating. Is the
Yeah,
word I'm looking for.
this falls under the year out.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
But-
this stuff that we're talking about,
Yeah.
if we're doing that right now for this fall, these people are going to, your feet are going to be to the fire. So try to get really, if you don't have any of this done and it's a last minute idea to get to have a charity auction or gala by this fall, that stuff should already be in place, right? So we're just kind of going, I got it.
Yeah, we're just kind
I
of
just-
summarizing, because Shelby
Yes,
mentioned that
yes, I'm with
some
you
people
now.
might be trying to squeeze a year's worth of work
Agreed.
in 90 days.
Yeah.
Got it.
And we can understand why,
Yep.
based on what we've all
Yep,
been through.
yep.
Right, and there's probably a lot of scenarios where if you are a new nonprofit organization hire, a lot of the stuff is probably already in place for you. So, I mean, it's better to kind of understand the backstory when you're going in, and this is kind of what we suggest and then how a lot of NPOs function. for their
Perfect.
events.
And I think the main thing to take away from this, this year out part of the calendar is delegation. You guys mentioned that early. I mean, you can't take all this on yourself, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
can't, but you're probably gonna kill yourself if you do it.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, it's all about delegation, but, in the beginning, it depends on how big your event is. If you're doing 400 individuals, it becomes a lot more cumbersome. If you're throwing like a wedding for 55 people in like 6 weeks, it's really not as hard. The next line item I have here is
I want to say something real
select
quick about that.
the next item on the list is.
What I'm going to talk about here is the control thing. Yes, it's important to delegate. I get that, but those of you that are running a show are probably control freaks, because I know I am. So you got to be able to let that go too. He's a control freak.
Yes, I am.
We're all control freaks, and so. Usually that mover and that shaker in the community that's going to get all of this done is going to have a hard time delegating. And what Polly is saying is do it anyway. Have faith in that person, have confidence in those people, and do it, because don't go right behind them and redo it, which is what we do all the time.
I'm trying to break that habit. I'm trying to break it. I'm not very good at it. But in a execution, in best case scenario, yeah, you should be able to delegate stuff and let it be.
You would sure hope so.
Yeah.
Well, should we double down then, Kelly, on okay, let's talk about an event that's happening in November.
Okay.
Where should they be now? 3 months out.
Hopefully a lot of this stuff is done. I mean, just to kind of run through the rest of this
Yeah.
list, it's select date, select venue, select theme. That's kind of difficult right now, right? I mean, that's hard for people to do. So kind of what I'm thinking is to go through the 1 year, 10-month out, and then next week, we'll kind of get through the rest of these.
Oh, that's a great
That's
idea.
kind of what I'm
Okay.
thinking, because there's a lot of material to get through, and I know that we don't want to be like a
Yeah.
3-hour podcast.
Right.
Are you guys cool with that?
I'm cool
That's
with
a great
that.
idea.
I should have probably brought that up early. So, as mentioned, one of the first things you're going to need is to set a date, figure out a venue, and then the theme will follow. And I know there's a lot of movement in terms of venues and calendars right now, and it's frustrating. There's a lot of venues in our neck of the woods whose prices have jumped 3 and 4 times.
Exponentially.
It's ridiculous.
It is shame on them.
Yeah.
Shame
yeah.
on them, because that,
Yeah, but all that to say, this event starts with the date, venue, and theme. Venue availability is listed here. Also, keep in mind different holidays, the community calendar. If your people are going on summer break or spring break, and you're in a school, you're going to have to consider that on these dates you're choosing.
yeah. I don't have a paper
Here,
to read.
you go next.
I'm going to read
How about right
the
here?
next bullet. Next bullet is set financial goal and create a budget. So you know what? I think that is super important, setting a goal, but set a attainable goal. I think that's something that you want the group of people that you're putting together to work hard on this, you want them to feel success, because you don't want to have that turnover. That's why turnover happens in these organizations. Turnover happens because the expectations are far too high for them, or they've set it too high, they've set the bar too high. Your chair will be able to help you with that goal, I believe, if it's a powerful chair. I think I think a goal needs to be spoke to the community. so that they all know what they're looking to raise. And yeah, that's what I know about that.
You would be shocked if I sat down and told you how many organizations I help that sometimes don't even have a financial goal.
Don't even have a goal.
I'll come in and say, hey, what is your goal for tonight? And that's because a lot has changed, like in the lead up. You know, if I were to ask that question 5 years ago and everything was in a normal world, they'd be able to tell me exactly how much they expected from each portion of the night. Nowadays, because everything is so fluid, there's a lot of hesitancy.
There
so
is.
It may sound elementary to set a financial goal, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't following that practice.
Well, also setting a goal gives the impression of truth that we need to raise money, and this is X amount of dollars that we need to raise. If you're just raising money for a vat of money that you're going to do good with, that's one thing. But if a goal means we have a need.
Yeah.
So you need to show that need. It's important to show that need. I need it.
Well, I think it's, this is also a good time between a year and 10 months out that, because if you have data from previous events, you're going to have a rough idea of what it's going to cost you to hire the auction company, what your AV is going to cost, what your venue is going to cost. Now would be a really good time to go out there and start talking and seeing if you can get a lot of that underwritten, right?
Yeah.
Lower your operating costs by having, a sponsor underwrite your AV or your venue or your food, and you obviously give them, recognition on the screen or verbally, but those types of relationships, you're going to take a little bit of time to get those ironed out. Probably don't want to wait till a couple months out to try to secure those kinds of donations and support.
Yeah, and then great point, Paul. Great point. And then the last two bullets we have on this form regard procurement. This says procurement forms. These are old forms, so I don't know how many procurement forms they're using out of the gate, but that's where we started. A lot of software is using that procurement data. So we're talking like about a year out that you should be thinking about these things. But that said, there's been a lot of expedited timelines where they're going through and hitting the high points. And all of these things need to at least be considered when you are on a tighter timeline, right? Because this is the bones in which the rest of the planning is built around and upon.
Yeah, and you can never start too early, I think. And also, as we mentioned earlier, use the data that you have from previous events. Use the guest list. Use the, dollars raised and who bought those items, who supported you at your fund of need, and start gathering that information together and delegating who can go out and contact those people to either get those donations back or secure that $5,000 pre-committed fund of need donation that, maybe 2018 was your last big successful event. So it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of re-energize those relationships, I guess.
Yeah, and lean on your auction chair for that, or encourage your auction chair to put the right people in place for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And if you are the auction chair, then good for you. Being able to delegate is going to be one of your biggest assets. We talked about being control freaks and following behind other people. You're going to have people that you elect to these different chair positions that are going to be that way, but it's just kind of part of the process.
It is kind of part of the process.
It's a team activity, and sometimes you got to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
This next category is 10 months out. The first one listed here is hold the auction kickoff party. So essentially, you're talking about auctions, what you want for those items that'll be coming in the doors, what you want to accomplish in the coming months to execute your auction is kind of what we're looking at that point.
I like this one too. Procurement incentives.
Oh.
Establish a team. It's like you've got two teams of 3 people each, right? And you create a competition. It's like, okay, you guys, I want you to get dinners. You guys, I want you to get travel items. You guys, I want this group to get sports items. And this other group, more unique items. And whomever comes in, first, or whoever gets their items in the soonest, you create an incentive program maybe. That might be kind of fun.
It would be fun.
That would be kind of cool.
Kelly, you want to take this next one?
Where do you have your pin? Oh, God, probably not.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, that's not me.
So this next one is mail, email, or distribute the save the date. Now,
magnets, refrigerator magnets.
allow
I love
people
refrigerator magnets.
to know you love Really?
Yeah, you to put it on a refrigerator magnet so that's on the refrigerator. I don't email and mail and all that. People go, throw it away.
I don't
Refrigerator
email.
magnet. Boom! 2023 gala. Come join us. And they stick it on the refrigerator.
So I think that this has been the biggest struggle in our industry right now. Because everybody is on a tighter timeline, it's harder to get people to commit to specific days because of travels, other plans, stuff of that nature bumping into them. I've definitely seen an issue in the summer months and even a little bit into late spring, is that some of those events were not as well attended, and I think this had a lot to do with it. You know, they kept switching dates for this reason or that reason. They weren't sure when they were going to go. They didn't have the cadence of their spring fundraising year over year. And I think we saw that reflected in the number of guests. A little bit of that is personal opinion. I have a couple of case studies I could share if I had to, but for the most part, I think that that was really hard to maintain, and it's probably pretty hard to maintain right now. Goal is communicate and get people to commit to the date in whatever fashion that is. Mm-hmm. Send them a TikTok if you have to.
Make it 12 seconds long. Get to the point.
That's right.
They're not going to listen any longer than 15 seconds.
You have 3 seconds to keep their attention. Go!
Go!
We want you to come to our event. We want you to spend money. We want you to eat good, and we want you to have a good time.
Here's a refrigerator magnet. Bye.
Sold! $10,000!
Here's a refrigerator magnet. I love it.
This party could
It's okay, Shelby. Bring
this
it.
party could cause a massive hangover. And you just list like all, anyway, moving on. Bad joke, missed it.
Sponsorship would also be a good time right now.
Sponsorship would be a good time right now,
That's going to take a long time to get those established, so don't wait till the end to start tickling around the edges there.
Yeah, and your sponsorship should be happening every year round. You know, if you're on a committee, you are that type of person. We know that. People are not designating people for these committees. People are volunteering for these committees or say, hey, I'd like to do that. So that should be sponsorship. Yes, you should definitely be sewing it closed by now, but your sponsorship communication should be every year round. Please, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you, please, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's kind of how I feel about sponsorships.
What do you think about guest lists? Simple.
I think I like the idea of a guest list. I like the idea of table captains and things like that. That gives the ability for people to really be involved with a group of people that they're going to have fun with, which is going to elevate their game the night of. I'm a huge supporter of that.
What is a table captain going to do?
So a table captain is, let's say that let's just call them 10 tops. So let's say we have a 200-person auction. You're going to have 20 tables in there. You need 20 table captains. If you can only get 10, you can only get 10, and then you guys can filter in the list through that. But the table captain, it'd be like me having a gala, me and or having a table, Mark and I, and we would call you and invite you, and we would call you and invite you, right? And then we would let people know who we're inviting and your wives. And we would let you know what our expectation is. You're not just coming for a free meal. I'm buying the ticket for you to get in, or whatever, and you're gonna donate money. So there's conversations that happen. But I'm a huge proponent of table captains. I think it brings people to the event, and they're with other people, so that it's harder to back out.
And we're considering this at 10 months out in a perfect world, right? And I think at 10 months out, when you're looking at that guest list, you're also trying to figure out what tables are what. Mm-hmm. In other words, like Bank of America always supports our event. They're going to have 3 tables, 10 tops, meaning 10 people at each table. You have 30 people that you need to allocate towards that room. Mm-hmm. So I think your comment is completely valid in that you're coming up with a guest list and who is going to be there and who are they going to invite, but also consider your sponsorship opportunities here. Mm-hmm. Like if you're able to tie in a big name sponsor in the community, it's beneficial here.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial here.
And you're laying out that expectation, as Kelly mentioned, that you don't want just butts in the seats, really. You want, if Kelly's going to ask Shelby to come to this event or ask me to come to this event, she's then going to follow up by saying, okay, we're going to expect you to support us financially. What could we expect? Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to ask that question. I mean, okay, well, I'm in for $1,000. or
Done.
whatever it is. So now you know, right? And you can convey that to your bosses, and then they can have an overall expectation of, how much did they at least have going in, I guess.
Yeah.
What about
Maybe.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting ready to sideway. I won't do
Don't
it.
go sideway
I
yet.
won't.
We got 2 more bullets. The next one on this list, and again, 10 months out, hold your first committee meeting and then continue monthly. As long as these are consistent, great. Sometimes they're every other month, sometimes they're every 2 weeks. Just depends on your environment and how big of the event is happening. But you're going to want to be having those consistent meetings on the calendar, and part of that is keeping those people accountable that you have delegated tasks to. If you're a decorating chair, we want an update every 2 weeks on what has happened between 14 days ago and today. And that way you're keeping the team moving forward. Otherwise, you lose time, everybody procrastinates, it's human nature, and then you're scrambling in the last couple of weeks, and that's not fun.
And we are fully aware that it is difficult at 10 months out to keep inertia going towards something,
Because
right?
you're starting the
Because
inertia
you're
a
just,
little bit,
yeah, so,
True.
that's something that these meetings or these get-togethers or, they could be phone tree kind of situations where you just call everybody, so-and-so's in charge of whatever, but that it's hard to keep that energy going, but it's also the right time to really begin it, to start really pushing for one. I work best under pressure. So that's just how but not everybody does.
Don't
yeah.
listen to Kelly. Beep.
Oh, I do. Like, we're having an auction in 2 weeks. I need 10 grand, $1,000. All right.
It's going to be
Kelly's
really
like,
easy.
we'll take care of it.
It's going to be really easy. Just bring all your own plates, all your own tablecloths, and we'll be good to go. Paul, do you want to take the last one? Or you want me to?
The last one on 10 months out was.
You weren't even on the right page. You're naughty.
No, he was trying
You're
to do it all,
naughty.
which I appreciate.
Well, I think we touched this one already, I thought.
Yeah, I think you're
Sponsorship
right, yeah.
and Underwriting and sponsorship amounts.
Yes, and I kind of took that one earlier. Talk
You
to your
gotta
sponsors
just
early.
do your thing, don't
I do.
you?
So we have a whole nother list here, a whole nother page. I think that we've kind of spent our time for today. We want to make this digestible content. So that is 12 to 10 months out. Those are the things you should be thinking about when you are a year or almost a year out from your event. In a perfect world, are you going to have that much time? Probably not. But that is where those conversations and thoughts start before you start building out the rest of the material that you'll see next week. So I'm excited to cover that next week.
Yeah, and if you by some chance have a perm, you need to give it a year to grow out so that your hair's, straight for the gala or whatever.
serious?
Or, think about your dress that you're going to buy. You need to start shopping sales for that dress. You never know.
No.
You need to kind of figure out, what am I on a 2-week schedule about my nails? Am I going to get them done before the gala, after the gala?
Are you really planning dresses a year out?
Tanning lotion.
Tanning lotion. Okay, now is your time to divert. We are in the mist section of our podcast.
Well, before we go on,
Okay.
also in the 10 to 12 months, you hire the Stokes Auction Group.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We love
It's important to have an
events.
auction
Duh.
company locked in a year in advance. By the way, did we mention that?
Yeah, and honestly, if you don't have a financial goal, we'll help you set that financial goal.
Yes, and if you
Yeah,
need help picking out a
exactly.
dress, I'm your girl.
Oh, send dress
Send colors,
recommendations
recommendations.
to Ms.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, she loves purple.
I love purple.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
favorite color.
She has a purple coffee cup
It's
that she
my-
is holding hostage from one of our teammates.
No, it is a well-earned hostage hold.
Yes, it probably is. Okay, do you remember what your side?
Yeah,
what
it was
your
silly,
sidebar
but
was?
it was a quick sidebar. What if you did like table competitions? You could kind of do that. But if you gave each table captain a competition of whose table makes the most money, at the night, and kind of get that started with that group. So you and 8 of your friends are going, okay, well, we want to be the winner of giving the most money, and then come up with some idea. This is a brainstorm right now.
I like
Some
this.
idea of what the number one table gets. Maybe they got the VIP table for next year. Maybe there's a VIP table for whatever table does the most money that night.
That's pretty cool.
And you could kind of dance
That is
off that a
cool,
little bit. So you could kind of think about that at the 10 months out or the 12 months out and kind of put that bee in everybody's bonnet.
Yeah, and if you're really far in advance, you could use that as a procurement procurement incentive, like you were talking about.
You really
You
could.
could.
You could, and then
We'll put you in the front as a VIP table. You'll get your own concierge
that's it.
service.
That's
You'll
it. Bananas
special-
Foster, whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna get your own waiters and waitresses
Did
for
you
the whole event.
Yeah.
Did you say banana sauce?
Bananas Foster.
Bananas
I
Foster.
suppose banana sauce would be good too.
Nope, all the bananas I have eaten have parents. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw what
Welcome
you
to
did there.
Bad Joke Tuesday.
Wow.
Wow.
So anyway, that was what I had.
I love it. Good
That's
job.
cool.
Way
It's
to
a
be.
great
Nailed
idea.
it.
I
Nailed
like
it.
that.
Thanks for joining us this week. We're kind of changing the format and trying to give you stuff that you can use. So let us know what you think about this. Comment on our YouTube page or shoot us an email. Whatever you find is the best way of communication for you. Thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate your time, whether you're listening to us on a podcast or watching our video feed. You guys are awesome.
What about music?
Thanks to Mixard for the intro music.
Yeah.
Brighter Days
Brighter
Ahead
days. Yeah.
by
Brighter
Mixard.
days.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Go out and be bold.
Be courageous.
And go do good.
Let's raise some money!
Money, money,
Woo,
money,
woo, woo!
money.
Later, gang. See you around.